Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Real Reds Talk that celebrates authenticity and fan culture. Alongside me to pick the bones of the press conference quotes is Mr. Samson the Great. Some good news finally, Sam.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah, not for once, not looking at a long injury list and going for fuck's sake.
I know. Everyone was absolutely dreading the worst before 4:45, I think the press conference was, wasn't it? But we've actually had some decent news, which is good, which is a change from last season. We're also going to talk about Ahmad's new contract. I know I slightly touched on it on the afternoon show, but I want to get Sam's take on that situation. There's been a little bit of a development on the Man City situation and a couple of quotes coming out from league presidents and former players, which I want to talk about. And then we're going to do our Champions League predictions towards the end of the show as well. More kind of focused on the English clubs that are in that tournament. So, yeah, let's kick it off with the presser, Sam. Erik spoke to the media at 4:45 to give an update on this Barnsley game. Now, I was listening to Talk of the Devils last night because I don't know why, but the pod went out at like 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
Very bizarre. But I was listening to it last night, and they was talking about the pressers, how he's having to do one before every game now, I think, rather than maybe miss one or do one after it. So, yeah, we had a presser for the Carabao. Some information in there on a couple of players that we was worried about: Lisandro Martinez, Majorare, and Mateus de Ligt. They are all fine for tomorrow's game, but even still with that, should any of them play? That's the question.
Depends on the left back thing, doesn't it? Really depends. Like, if he plays Amas or not? Because if he plays Amas, then you don't have to play any of them. Really, only the person who needs to play is Dallo. Everybody else you can rotate essentially, or you can play Masraoui and rest Dallo, whatever way you want to do it. So that would be the only one where I'm like, okay, the same. But everybody else, you should essentially be able to rotate if you do play Harry Amas in that position. So I would, if I was the manager, I'd rotate everybody just to give him an extra week or an extra. When do we play? Saturday night.
Yeah, 5 o'clock. I think
so
it is.
Give him 5 days off, like 5 days, like not having to play. I think that's pretty good.
I do have a feeling at least one or two of them are definitely going to play, just because we know what the coach is like. There's a couple of other injury updates on Rasmus Lindelof and Mason Mount. Now, these all got through into a pool in the question. So we didn't say, like, individually, how's Rasmus, how's Lindelof? We said all three of them together.
Either.
Like, yeah, time. Very bizarre, like the way it was asked and the way it was answered. So I've always been under the impression that Mason Mount was 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And that was 4 to 5 weeks, I think he said, and that was the end of August.
Yeah.
So been 2 weeks so far. I thought like mid-October is when he'd be back. So I don't know if he's. Yeah, I don't know if you listened to the press conference, but I was a little bit confused.
I saw the quotes, but I didn't watch the thing.
But if Rasmus Lindelof and Mount are back, that's positive, I suppose, isn't it? Because Lindelof, I have no idea what's going on with him.
Nope.
I don't know what injury he's got. It was a toe injury, apparently, but then
he's on crutches, wasn't he? That's all I know.
That's but how long could a fucking toe take to heal? You know what I mean?
No idea. Maybe they used it. Maybe he was injured, but it wasn't that bad, and maybe he was trying to shift the move out, so they said he was injured. But now, obviously, that move hasn't happened. Now they're like, okay, yeah, it's actually. So maybe that's what's been going on. I don't know. Again, Ten Hag has played a lot of injuries that have happened very close to his chest and not mentioned stuff, hasn't he? So who knows?
I remember reading into this actually, and it's a common thing that they do in the Netherlands with football over there. They hide the certain injuries so other teams can't exploit them. So let's say, for example, I don't know, they know someone's got a certain injury with the knee, like Malacia, for example. Target, yeah. So wingers, and because as much as people will say, "Oh no, that doesn't happen," whatever, blah blah blah. Listen, coaches and football players are ruthless to win, especially near the very top of the tree.
Might not maliciously, like, say a guy's got an ankle injury, they might not twat the ankle, but maybe they go, "Well, his ankle or his knee not that stable. Let's make him twist. Let's make him turn. Yeah, let's make him like all over the place. Let's try and work it so he does things." I don't think anybody's going. He's got a knee injury. I'm going to 2-foot him in the knee. I don't think any of that's happening. Yeah. Despite what that Southampton player did to Garnacho, like that was a ridiculous tackle. But yeah, I don't think many players are doing that nowadays. This is not Roy Keane, Alfie Haaland type days anymore.
Just on that tackle, Southampton, it's just sparked to memory because on the watch on when that first happened, I didn't think it was a bad tackle.
No,
Did you do the same?
Yeah, I watched it and I was just like, oh, he's got in on there, but Garnacho's made made the most of it.
Yeah.
Like he's gone over. And I watched the replay. I went, Jesus Christ, he's got studs up on his knee.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's a red. He's getting sent off for that. Because when he showed the red card, I was like, a red card, really? Like that's interesting. And then I saw the replay. I was like, oh yeah, it's a red card.
Which, as actually, in a weird way, Southampton's going to be the perfect segue to talk about the next point of the presser, which is Luke Shaw, obviously a former left-back for Southampton himself. Rehab program slowed down a bit, apparently. Well, they were saying like they just need to be careful with it. They're being cautious. The good thing is, I suppose, is not as desperate are we because we've got Dalot there instead of Wan-Bissaka, Amrabat, or Lindelof.
Yeah. I've said my piece on Luke Shaw a few times. Again, I don't want to be harsh because I like the guy, and I think when he's fit, he's a fantastic player. I just don't think he's ever.
While, though, innit?
I just don't think he's ever going to be fit for more than 3 games in a row. I just don't think he can ever do it again. I think he's tired. We should have sold him in the summer. I understand why we didn't because there were so many other priority positions that we had to fix, and left back was at the bottom of the list. But now you look at it as like, should it have maybe been a little bit higher? Considering the circumstances we're in, but Mazraoui and Dalot have filled in very, very well, which has worked out for us, and they're not injured, so which is another good point, which was something we didn't have last season. But yeah, left back is concerning, man. And I just think Luke Shaw at United, his days, if they're not done, they're definitely numbered because I don't ever see him coming back and doing the season that he did the first Ten Hag season way. But he play like 30 odd games that first season of Ten Hag. Before that, didn't be able to do it, and since then hasn't been able to do it. So I just think he's done. I really do, injury wise. I just don't think he can do it anymore.
It's a shame, innit? Because he's actually a really good player, man. Like when he's fit and firing, I know there's always that asterisk next to his name, but he is phenomenal as a left back. Like top 5 in the world, easy in my opinion, and it makes such a big difference when he's there. But I think the majority of United fans now will just kind of wash their hands on it. Like, if he comes back, great. If not,
don't rely on him. Don't expect him. Don't expect him to be part of the team. Don't rely on him. Don't be like, once he comes back, it's going to fix things because he ain't coming back. Like, it's just not. And I think left back in January would be nice, but I know January market is a little bit difficult and stuff. But I think summer left back has to be #1 priority for me. That has to be the position you need to. Because you look at that right-hand side against Southampton, how well Mazraoui and Ahmad linked up and how many sort of attacks and things came through that side. Imagine if we had a left back on the other side who could link up with Rashford or Garnacho in that way.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit lopsided in a minute, a bit is it isometric? Is that the word? Where it's over one side.
Sounds about right.
Whatever it is, imagine if we could have both sides and then the full backs of the opposition are like, well, is he going to come down this side? Is it this side? Like, remember when Ollie, it was all down the left. Everything was down the left. Like nothing happened on the right.
Shaw, and then the right side was just dead. So if you locked our left side off.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But imagine both sides were like functioning, and the fullback's like, it makes the team a bit more dangerous. But yeah, it's a shame, man. Because again, I like Shaw. I like him a lot, but I just don't think he's capable of doing it anymore. So
I think you saw how much of a difference it made in pre-season when Amas played. And he was making them overlapping runs, putting crosses into the box. And as much as Dalot can do that, we've seen it a couple of times. It's not natural for him to drive forward. So instinct is always to cut in or drift into midfield in his case. So, yeah, I think it will be nice to see Amas if he's available tomorrow, just to have that natural width and balance and see how we play. Just going to go to the comments. Charlie Malma saying, only trophy worth winning is the Europa League since it grants the same reward as the top 4. League Cup and FA Cup. Nice to win those, but their rewards are terrible.
I agree.
Yeah, Lindelof had a broken toe. The toe had a setback. Oh, the toe had individually had a setback. Why not both? That's Brian K said. I mean, we would love to, but we don't. It's an obvious answer, isn't it? Obviously, we want to get top 4. Obviously, we want to win a trophy.
We want to win it. We want to win the Premier League, but Brian,
it's not reality, is it?
Let's be realistic, Brian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be nice to get both, but judging how United have been playing, it's probably not realistic. David Arrington saying, if we finish 5th and win an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, I'd take it, but ideally we get 4th or win the Europa. Financially, we could really do with the Champions League money. As a fan, I'd love more silverware. And that's a great point, because if you look at the figures that have come out around is it the third quarter? I don't know what it was specifically, but they brought the thingies out and were like, minus 100 and odd million. They still say it's fine for PSR. There's some spending in there on the academy, which doesn't get included with it, and other little bits.
There was stuff to do with the purchase of the 25% shares as well, 45, 50 million that was written off as well. So that would contribute because it's investment in the club essentially. So I think that's be fair. So I think PSR we've just got by, but I think it's mainly due to the sales that we made in like Scott McTominay, Mason Greenwood, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a few others as well, which kind of relates to your comment about January before, why it's going to be difficult, because I just don't see him spending any money whatsoever unless it's an absolute crisis in one of the positions and we have to get one on loan.
We sell like Lindelof and Maguire, something like that happen.
But they've got a year left on the deal, so they can start speaking to clubs anyway. Exactly. So we can't get any money, unfortunately. Brian Case saying, think Ten Hag should start giving Amas some game time this season and give him chances to show what he can do. Natural replacement for sure. Richard saying, I don't think you'll ever see the old Luke Shaw back. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm very doubtful. Yeah, I think everyone feels the same on that. So we can move on from Luke Shaw. On to Anthony Sam. Ten Hag got asked if Anthony will start. He said players will earn their spot on the training ground, so God knows what that means. But like we said in the preview, we kind of glossed over it, didn't we? If he can't start against Barnsley, when is he ever going to play?
Yeah, I fully expect. I think we both predicted it in our preview. If you haven't seen that yet, by the way, go check it out on the channel. Really, really good preview. We both said he was going to start today, and I think, like you said, if he doesn't start today, then when's he going to get a start? Like Europa League, maybe, like against like a Bucharest or a Bodo Glimt, one of those sort of teams, maybe. Like he's not going to start.
Would there be a case to just keep playing Ahmad or someone there for rhythm rather than, because it's early on in the season, isn't it? So it's not like we desperately need to rotate right now.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, like, if Ahmad started, I would be like, he's fully deserved, and I'd be like, like keep it like playing. Like he's not done anything to not deserve starting, and I'm sure if you asked Ahmad, he'd be like, yeah, I'll start. I want to start. Like he wants to play. Players want to play most of the time, so I don't see why you could have that argument. However, I do think we need to rotate. And against Barnsley, no offense to Barnsley, I do think we can afford to rotate, especially in that position. And look, if it gives Anthony a bit of confidence like it did against Newport and gets him chomping at the bit, then cool. Or it increases his price by even a little bit so we can sell him. Fantastic. But yeah, if he can't start in this game, then I don't have any hope for him at all at United.
He's got to start. He has to start. And I want to see him in a weird way. Because he's this talk at the start of the season when he was saying, I'm going to prove that I'm a good player, I'm going to do this. He was putting, remember talking about it over the summer, all these statements that were coming out. It's all right, let's see it then. Let's see what you've got. Oh, I'm eager to see him, but I won't, again, like yourself, I won't be, majorly disappointed if he doesn't. Just something to think about, Sam, to go into the next bit. If you could, and we'll come back to it, if you could ask a question in that presser, what would it be? Just have a think about that for a minute, and then we'll both kind of return to it. But he got asked if he's taking this trophy serious, and he said, he wants to win them all. I'm sat there thinking, obviously, you've won the Carabao Cup in your first season, you've won the FA Cup in the second season. Do we find ourselves in a similar predicament if Ten Hag wins another trophy, but we still finish, let's say, 5th or 6th?
I think the things have changed now, haven't they? Obviously, we've got Ineos in charge, and the reports I've seen from like Laurie Whitwell and people like that, who obviously I take very seriously and I think are legit. I think they have said Ineos are looking. The thing above all is style of play and progression in the team. That's number one. So he could win another Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. And I think while it might strengthen his argument, if we see the same style and the same sort of bullshit that we saw last season, I don't think it saves him this time. I really, really don't. I think he has to show something in the league, in progression, and on the pitch. I think he has to show those two things. So I think he could get away with not winning a trophy. But if he shows progression on the pitch and we have a distinct style of play and there's something advancing, there's some things happening there, and we progress up the league, I think he'll keep his job regardless. I think a trophy would be a bonus. But if he doesn't have any of those things, I don't think a trophy saves him. My personal opinion.
It'd be nuts though, wouldn't it, if he did go and win the Europa League and then we're getting rid of it. Like, I get why.
Europa League might save him. Europa because that
Yeah,
gets you in the
that could,
Champions League.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but if he finishes 8th, 9th, 10th in the league,
but then wins an FA Cup again.
No, but then wins the Europa League. What do you do then?
Yeah,
what do
that's
you do?
what I mean. It's contextual in it because it depends how they're performing and certain situations, and if the injuries get bad again and all that kind of stuff. So I guess we'll never know. We'll have to see how it plays out. Last quote from the presser got asked about Manuel Ugarte if he could feature in typical Ten Hag fashion, keeping everything close, saying Ugarte, you will see tomorrow what the selection will be for this game. Did you have him in your team on the preview? I can't remember.
I think so. I think I did Ugarte, Collier, and who did I put in the 10? Bruno. Yeah, I think that was my midfield.
Yeah, that's another one who I want to see. I want to see Ugarte start for the full 90. But equally, I've seen a couple of teams predicted 11s where they've got Casemiro, Collier, and Eriksen. I think it is they had in there. But Casemiro's fresh himself, in it. So again, at least we have options, Sam.
I would love to rest Bruno for Eriksen. I'd put Eriksen in the 10. He's not going to do it though, is he? He's just not going to.
He should do though.
He should, but he's not. He won't. Yeah. You know he won't. Like he just won't. So I've seen a lot of stuff about people saying Bayinde is going to start tomorrow. I don't see it. I really don't see it. I will be baffled and surprised if he does. Same. But I really don't see it. But I hope he does. I hope Bayinde starts. I really do. But
go back to any of the FA Cup, Carabao Cup games.
Every week, we tried. Yeah, Bayinde's going to come in. He's going to play. Yeah. Even when Onana went to AFCON and he left 2 days later than he should have to play in. You're like, for fuck's sake, man.
And came back, you're like, oh, well, he ain't going to get his opportunity. That's what I mean. We've said multiple times, this guy, plays for Turkey. Goalkeeper for Turkey. And he can't, it's very strange. And maybe it's something in his head about rhythm. I have no idea. I don't know. But I don't expect him to start. I'd love to know what everyone else thinks. Brian's saying hasn't been the same since that hotel leg break. Must have played a part mentally. Yeah. The chocolate mug is back. Yes, sir. Cheers. Absolutely. Iconic chocolate mug. If he cannot get in against Barnsley, then the saying there's no way back for him. I think that's for Anthony. I think if we got top 4, especially from this position, and didn't win a trophy, but got to 2 or 3 finals, then I think he'd be okay. Yeah. And if he wins the Europa and comes 8th, the outcome is the same in that we still get Champions League. Yeah, I know. Look, there's a long, long way away from that. Who knows if he even makes it to the end of the season? We'll just have to see how results go. But I think to get the best results and to get the highest possible finish, you need your best players, Sam, and someone who I think will be a big part of it is Amad Diallo. Now, I touched on this in the afternoon. Samuel Lucas put something out about him saying if United have not agreed a new deal with Amad before the new year, then they will trigger the 1-year extension to prevent Amad's representatives from negotiating a pre-contract with an overseas club in the January transfer window. Has he shown enough to you now for us to commit with a big new contract?
It depends on the wage, doesn't it? I don't want to see players rewarded for less than a season and then get 300 and odd K a week, like happened to Rashford. Like I don't need to see that, but. Excuse me. If he's got a year left, I think it's good to. I know there's an option as well. I think it's good to get him signed to paper because I think he's an extremely talented player. I think we have to show some belief and some, what's the word? Not faith in him, but just show him that we value him and we want him to stay and be part of this team by offering him this new deal. I think that's a good sign and a good plan. Like say to him, look, we want you part of this team. Here's a deal. Want you to stay. You've been starting. We see you're a valuable part of the team. I think all that's good. I just think if we can keep a cap on wages and not just chuck a shit ton of money at these young players, especially young forwards, like we have been doing, I think that'd be great. But yeah, let's see what happens. I hope he stays, man, and I hope we get many, many more years out of him because I think he's a quality player who's only just started to show the sort of tip of the iceberg of his talents. And I think he's only going to get better the more games he plays. So I hope he stays and I hope he signs a new deal.
Well, apparently they've already snubbed interest, haven't they, from, I think, a big team in Europe was after Amad and tried signing him. He was like, no, we want to keep hold of him, which was nice to see. I'm just double-checking how much he's on at the minute. I'm on United's wage bill. So
I imagine he's on that much.
I think 1.5 million a year, which works out 28 grand a week. He's on at the minute, which is crazy, isn't it? Really, I mean, think about it. So
it's about what I'd imagine he would have been on. To be fair,
yeah, Yeah, because we signed him as a youngster, in it,
Yeah.
5-year deal. It's not going to be huge, but then I think with that, you give yourself a platform to say we don't have to go too crazy,
No.
and you don't have to say 250 or
Yeah,
200.
you could go to
You
like
can pump that up
80.
to 70,
You go to,
100.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You can go around
yeah.
there because when Bruno came, what he on 60k when Bruno came.
I can't remember how much he was
Sure,
on,
he
but
was
he
on
weren't
like
on
a
mega.
shockingly low,
Mm,
considering the stature of the club and what other people were on. He was on a low, so I think
yeah.
he was on 60 when he came originally.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
you
then
get,
as a collective, then as well, you've got sorry to interrupt. You've got Mainu, who's on a relatively low wage. You've got Garnacho, who doesn't earn a lot. Ahmad, who does. So then the wage bill slowly coming down. Even though you're increasing deals,
sure.
that's long term, isn't it?
And then if you get like Lindelof, who probably leaves at the end of the year, he's on a high wage despite his status in the club. I think he's on 120 or 130 or
Yeah,
something like that, which is for a fifth choice centre back is
crazy.
insane. Anthony, can we get rid of him? There's a big question marks. He's on what, 200k a week or something like that.
Mm, yeah,
Maguire's on a big wage. I'd be more than happy to keep him as the third, fourth choice centre back, but I know
yep.
his deal's up at the end of the season as well. So there's a couple of wages there that if you get rid of them, that just drops even further. Now, obviously, Casemiro's the big one. If you can get Casemiro out the door, that is a big wage off the books there.
Mm, yeah. Talking about wages off the books and screwing the books, let's move on to Man City, Sam. A couple of updates or a couple of interesting things, which we put this on our Twitter earlier on.
Yep.
Some clubs in the Premier League believe a points deduction for Man City, even one leading to relegation, would be insufficient if they are found guilty of most of the charges against them. We've also had the La Liga president, Javier Tebas, say Man City should be punished. The Premier League shouldn't give in to the pressure. The facts are there. Man City should receive the sanction it deserves. If not, the competition's authority will be lost. And I think that's what we're looking at in a minute, Sam, innit?
Yeah.
The jeopardy of the league, integrity, should I say, will be completely diminished if City get away with this and they just get fined. It's not a lose-lose, but let's say they fine them and they stay in the league. The rest of the heat from the rest of the clubs is going to be mega. And then let's say if they get rid of him and get him relegated, it's going to blow up a whole different side of the argument there, innit? With them two clubs in particular, and maybe politically.
Yeah, like there's a lot of situations going on because obviously with the thing that happened with UEFA, they essentially got away with it, and they did similar behaviour. Weren't cooperating, weren't handing over documents or paperwork, and then they went to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and ended up getting it overturned, which was a big sort of pie in the face of UEFA. Basically, relegated their authority in terms of like big clubs like Manchester City. Means clubs like PSG and Real Madrid and stuff were free to then open this like fucking Super League that they were trying, that we were a part of. Unfortunately, UEFA's power has never been the same, and now like you've got FIFA trying to pick up this new World Club Cup because they're trying to take a slice of that money. They want a big club competition, so UEFA had to then give in to these big clubs' demands and change the way the Champions League works into this league format, which is what they wanted originally. So there's all this little power negotiation going on. So if the same thing then happens with the Premier League, you're going to see an absolute shitstorm from the likes of Everton, the likes of Nottingham Forest, all these clubs that got punished for PSR and restrictions and got massive point deductions that almost cost them the Premier League status. And then City are just able to get away with it because they're a bigger club and they've got more money. And furthermore, the stuff that they've had, that they've been dealing with, actually, let me find this thing that there's a guy on Twitter called Adam who used to be a journalist that I follow, and he broke it down really well. Here we go. City claim to have irrefutable evidence for to prove their innocence, but have never done anything more than use legal avenues to bury the charges or simply fail to cooperate. This is not hearsay either. This has been on the record for 3 years. Please, the cast verdicts disregards City's lack of cooperation, which knows and evidence pictures. Only full disclosure is able to provide the full context. So the argument against the cast decision is invalid. The club also lied to cast, which is important, largely unknown detail. City employees warned the club they had broken the rules and were ignored. Leaked pages and suggested emails in relation to their sponsorships. This is the Mancini thing you mentioned on the show. City paid 30k a year per week, 4 days a year contract to Al Jazeera worth 35k a week. Executed, paid for by the people at City. Rui Pinto, who's the guy who's leaked all these documents, who's had to go into hiding, by the way, because of death threats and stuff, but still play a role. He's handed over 5 hard drives of evidence that have not yet publicly come to light. His lawyers have also said investigators approached them regarding City. Abu Dhabi could too play a role considering meetings in the last 12 months between the UAE and UK governments. It would be naive to rule out political pressure and interference. So that's another thing you got to look at. Manchester City cut the boxes is beyond dispute. It's been reported for a decade. Whether it could be proven enough to bring to the justice is another matter. Let's hope so. I think that sort of sums it up quite well, really.
Yeah, and in terms of timeline, I was just to add on to that. So expected the formal hearing with the independent commission will go on for around 10 weeks with both the Premier League and City to make lengthy legal representations. The independent commission will then go away and consider all the evidence and consider their decision. That process is expected to take several months because of the volume of charges and the amount of information to be reviewed. Therefore, it could be March or later before a decision by the commission is made public as soon as they've reached their conclusion. So I don't think it's going to affect the current season.
No.
But I don't think it's a coincidence, Sam, that you've seen like Pep saying it might be his last year at City.
Yeah.
You've got De Bruyne all kind of flirting with Saudi. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think I agree with you that obviously they'll get some form of a punishment. I just don't think it'll be harsh. I think they'll try to save face and try to keep it balanced. But again, the ripple effects of that could be as worse, really, depending on how other clubs kind of act about it.
It not only is it the after effect, the aftershock for clubs like Everton who feel they've been harshly punished because they cooperated with the Premier League and gave them doctor and still got a really big points deduction.
Yeah.
And Nottingham Forest, the same, cooperated with the investigation, still got a points deduction. They're going to feel outraged, and rightly so. And then you'll have clubs who have also got state ownership, which I am deadly against them, which I was deadly against for United when Qatari was involved in trying to bid for us. You'll have clubs like Newcastle, who are state owned, who are going to go, well, if they're fucking about and they're breaking the rules, what's going to stop us from absolutely spending a shitstorm and buying this league, which is essentially what they want to do. But they got in after the horse had already bolted and the door had been closed when City had exploited all that. It was too late. But City getting away with it and essentially just getting a slap on the wrist and here's a 10 million a year fine or whatever it is. They're the richest club in the world, Newcastle. So they'll just go, yeah, we can deal with that. That's fucking fine. We'll deal. We'll pay the fine and we'll just buy our way to a league.
Do you think that would be the biggest sports story ever if Man City got like relegated to like League Two?
It'd be insane. I mean, it'd obviously be bigger if it was United. If it was United, it'd be bigger.
No, but I mean, like out of ones like Lance Armstrong, who obviously got done for like steroids and stuff, didn't he, or whatever it was, performance enhancing drugs. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's obviously quite a few that are in the sports world. How big would that rank?
I think the fact that the Premier League is the biggest league in the world, I don't think that's arguable. I think it's the most watched league in the world. The most money is generated from any league in Europe and the world is the Premier League. The best players are here. The best managers are here. I think you could argue, and City are a recent phenomenon in terms of like big teams, but they're still well known. They won a treble. Say what you want with all the cheating and stuff like that. They've won multiple 4-in-a-row leagues, which has never been done before. Again, asterisks. They're a big club. They've got Erling Haaland, De Bruyne, those type of players. So arguably, this story is probably one of the biggest in the world ever, considering the league it comes from and the sport of football, which is the number one sport in the world. I can't think of many stories that would beat this, to be honest with you. Like, if it's something that happened like this in rugby, you think there'd be this much furore? I don't think so.
No one gives a shit. No. Sorry, any rugby fans that are in there. But I'm just looking at some there just to kind of fresh memory. You got Seb Blatter with FIFA, which was quite big, wasn't it? All that kind of all out investigations from his reign as FIFA president. You've got Bloodgate, apparently Heineken Quarter Cup final.
The guy, he put a packet in his mouth, didn't he? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. The Hand of God is up there, apparently.
I mean, that stuff happens in football all the time, though, doesn't it? Like cheating.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. OJ Simpson, but that's.
I mean, that was a criminal. That was a criminal murder that didn't happen on the pitch.
Yeah.
If he murdered his wife on the football field, then all right.
Well, yeah. I suppose that would be bigger than City's charges. And then obviously Lance Armstrong is classed as the biggest, but it's got to be up there, isn't it? It's got to make the top 10, I'd probably say.
I'd say top 3, arguably. Top 3 sporting stories. But again, if it goes nowhere, in about 3 years after, nobody will care. Nobody will care.
No one will give a shit, really. Someone made a great point. I don't know who it was. Mention yourself if you are in the chat currently watching. On the afternoon show, they said even if they do get relegated to the Championship, you could see them winning it that year, the next year, and then coming back up. I could see that happening.
You'd have to just knock him down to like North Conference or something, wouldn't you? So it would take him at least 4 or 5 years to put back. Even if they got back to back promotions, he'd have to sort of think like that. But yeah, I'd love it. Like, put it this way, put it on record. If they get relegated and a massive point deduction, I will be on this show with a bottle of whiskey until I finish that bottle. I will be on here celebrating. Like, it'll be fucking phenomenal. It'll be better than winning a league almost for United.
Yeah,
like that's how good it'll be. However, I just don't see it happening. I don't. I think it's going to be a fine,
too much money involved.
A fine, and maybe a minor points deduction.
Yeah,
I think that'll be it.
I think you're probably right. But again, I think the Everton fans and Nottingham Forest fans and even Leicester found a loophole, didn't they? So they're not getting deducted. But you have to sit there and say, how the fuck do we get a 6-point or 8-point deduction for 2 charges, and they've just got away with a 10-point deduction, something for 130?
You know, the worst one is as well. 50% of those charges are them not cooperating.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of them are.
It's not 115 individual ones, is it? It's like they've done the same one
multiple
10 times, the same one 10 times each time. So yeah, I think that is going to be, when that hearing gets announced, that is going to be fast. It's going to break the fucking football world, and it's going to be fascinating to see what decision they make. And I'm sure we'll be debating it for the next 7 months and ongoing. Looks like, any chance we see Casemiro at centre back? Maguire didn't look game at the end of the Southampton one. I don't think so. I don't think we'll see him back there, personally, Sam.
No, Ten Hag said there's no injuries, like, apart from Højlund, Mount, Shaw.
Yeah.
I think they're the only ones, aren't they? Am I missing someone?
Lindelof,
sorry. They were the only ones that he said everybody else is fit, so
yeah,
I assume Maguire's fit.
Oh, Yoro, sorry, I just literally
well, yeah, he's long. I always forget about him. He's long term though, isn't he? So he's out to Christmas or something?
Yeah, a little bit before, I think. If City get away with this, it also shows that the Prem does not care. That is from Richard. Looks like Amas is going to get given a chance. We certainly hope so. The biggest story since Juventus. Yeah, I forgot about that as well. Yeah. Of course, 2005 when they got relegated. That was match fixing, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, Italy's weird though. There's so much corruption in the Italian football. It's mental how much. Like, I used to watch it. Richard, you might know this because I know you're quite a bit older than me. I used to watch on Channel 4 Italian 90 footballers. It was highlights of football, and they do like Gazzetta news stories and stuff. It was always match fixing. There was some racism scandals. There was ultras fighting each other in the streets. It was always a fucking scandal in Italian football every week. It was that just seems to be ingrained in their culture.
I actually have the shirt, the Juventus shirt from when they got relegated that season. So I always wanted a replica one. I know you got me the white and black one. I got an away one from the classic football shirt. So I was like, that's quite cheap. It's quite it was like 100 quid or something. But for like a replica Juventus one when it was in the prime, or at least when I thought it was in the prime, I thought that's decent. That I got it. I got home, searched it up. It was when they got relegated that season when they went down.
It might be worth a bit more, the fact that there's the shirt that they got relegated in. So
it's not now because the washer took the fucking logo off the front of it.
It was that one. Is it Tamoil?
Tamoil. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, yeah, still hurts to this day, to be honest, because I love that shirt. But anyhow, biggest injustice in football was the Glazers being allowed to buy United on debt and put it on the club. What a comment. That's getting pinned, David. Yeah.
Yes, David.
Phenomenal.
Very true.
Phenomenal comment. If you are just joining, we have covered Erik ten Hag's presser. We spoke about Amad Diallo and Man City's charges and the updates on there. So sorry if you've missed that. We are going to now do, Sam, our Champions League predictions for the English teams only. Because I do have the other fixtures, but there's so many games. It's
a league, innit? So there's what is it, like 20 odd teams? So it would be
too many.
Elite Baller with Viale, Ince, Batistuta, Del Piero, Adriano. Yes, Elite Baller. Yes to those names. Thank you for the nostalgia hitting my brain there.
Absolutely. So, Young Boys versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa away. Unai Emery, fantastic European manager. Did they get the job done?
I'd say so. I don't know anything about Young Boys apart from the time we played them. Was it under Ollie?
We used to play them a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or Mourinho as well. We played them.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah. Didn't Ronaldo score against Young Boys last
Bruno minute? Outside of the foot assist to Ronaldo.
That was it. Yeah. That's all I remember about the Young Boys team. Yeah, I think Villa get it done. I would say. Do you want a score prediction? Do you want a score prediction, or are you just picking winners? 2-0 Villa. There you go.
2-0 Villa. Okay. Next up, someone who you're definitely more familiar with: AC Milan versus Liverpool.
Please, please, Milan, please, please make it happen. It would be.
I actually don't know where Milan are in the league at the minute. Let me have a look.
I think they're about fifth
table,
fifth or fourth. I think maybe.
No, lower.
Lower.
Oh my god, where the fuck at 10th?
He's just been a bad season.
1-1, drawn 2, lost 1. Oh my lord.
Fucking bought a shit ton of players as well, Milan, this summer.
That is shocking.
We got a lot of players into summer.
Yeah.
So I don't. I'm going with my heart. AC Milan. I'll go with AC Milan.
Okay.
I don't believe in it. Let's go for another 1-0, like the Nottingham Forest one.
I think Slot gets the job done. I think because they lost to Forest, I think they'll bounce back a little bit, and I'll go with a 2-1 away.
Did they play in the Champions League with Feyenoord? What? Or was it Europa League?
No, it would have been Europa League or even Conference, I think, with Feyenoord. Yeah. So, yeah, his first outing in the Champions League. I want to get a win. I could see that being 2-1. Manchester City versus Inter Milan. The final, repeat the final.
Final repeat. I just think City's got too much for them. Is Inzaghi still in charge? Inter?
Yeah, second in the league, 8 points at the minute.
Good manager, like really good manager in Serie A. They've got some interesting players, but yeah, I just think City have got too much. I'll say 2-1 City.
Yeah, Haaland absolutely flying at the moment in it, and his European record is scary as fuck.
Yeah.
So I can't see at the Etihad as well. I can't see anything else other than a City 2-0 win. And then the last one, Atalanta versus Arsenal. Putting a very resound defensive performance, didn't he, against Spurs in the North London derby, and away from home, I could see him do a similar job. Yeah,
Atalanta had a good run though. Like not many people picked them against Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League final. Everybody was like, "This is Bayer Leverkusen treble, blah blah blah. They're gonna do it," and they outplayed him. That Gasperini's a really good fucking manager, man.
Good coach,
a really good coach, and they got some young, exciting talent coming through at Atalanta as well. Who was the midfielder we were looking at? The Brazilian guy.
Edison.
Yes, we've got people like that coming through. So I like a lot Atalanta. I do like them a lot. Underdog team. Really think.
Is Lookman still there, or did he move?
I think so. I think he's still there.
Yeah, obviously he's got a hat trick, didn't he, in the final?
So
they've got talented players.
They've obviously got Højlund from there. So I like Atalanta. I'll go with Atalanta. I'll say 1-0 win Atalanta.
1-0 win Atalanta. Yeah. I think Arsenal are going to put a proper stern defensive performance, and I'll go 1-1 because again Arsenal aren't great in Europe. I still remember the Porto game from last season.
Sporting as well. Struggle against Sporting.
Yeah, Sporting. Well. Yeah. So then yet to kind of develop that reputation, aren't they, in Europe? I suppose. So yeah, I'll go with the 1-1. What do we think, guys? Grayo saying AC Milan, please.
Yes.
David Anstey saying they had a shit start but won 4-0 on the weekend. I think. I don't know if that's in reference to AC Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. That's what they've done with Rangers. Put them to the bottom tier. I forgot about Rangers as well. Yeah, of course. If they get relegated, I'll send you a bottle of Black Bush. I don't know. Is that whiskey?
Let me Google.
Sure.
Let me Google. Actually, shall I Google Black Bush? This is going to put me on a list that I don't want to be on.
Maybe. Put liqueur or whiskey after it, just in case, to see what comes up. I'm guessing it's a whiskey.
Black Bushmills Black Bush whiskey.
Irish, so it is a whiskey.
Irish whiskey, triple distilled.
Yeah.
Sherry cask whiskey. That's pretty good, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Happy to receive whiskey. You know this, Richard, me or Sam. So if you want to send us a bottle,
absolutely.
Yeah, feel free to it. But yeah, look, obviously it's going to be busy on the channel over the next couple of days because we've got the Barnsley game tomorrow night. I mean, football in general is going to be mega busy because you've got this new format with the Champions League. But we're going to be busy on this channel. We're going to have the watch along. We'll have an afternoon news show tomorrow. But then you've got Palace coming up on Saturday, so we've still got the preview for that to do, and many other kind of different variety of shows, some interactive stuff coming up as well. So yeah, for any further updates on the Barnsley game, right up to the wire, make sure you check out our Instagram because Sam's very active over on there. Check us out on X as well because we have kind of regular updates. And then on TikTok, if you want to drop us a follow, almost at 30k on TikTok now. So please do drop us a follow if you're on that platform.
We're getting close to 4k on Instagram. So yeah, if you want to give us a follow that you haven't already, please do. I've just put the quotes out for the press conference as well. So if you want to read all them in full at your leisure, please do go check that out. And then I think, what are we on subscribers? 6,883. So yeah, not far away from 7,000. So please do share it to your friends, give it to people if they're interested in football United. Let's get to 7K. That would be very, very nice.
Yeah. And everyone cross the fingers and toes for Man City to get fucking relegated straight down to the bottom. Please. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Elite Baller, for the last 2 days, I've tried to upload videos about Man City, and every upload has failed. Interesting. Drop us a message if you want on the Instagram, and we'll see if we can help at all. Yeah. But apart from that, leave a like on the video for us, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one in a bit.
Peace.